Hi, I'm Kris Connors from CustomWoodCarvings.com, and today I'm going to show you how I like to carve a 3-foot welcome bear. Alright, so here's what we're looking at here. We're doing a 3-foot welcome bear, and my first idea was to do this with a vertical welcome sign, and he's holding a rope with some fish on it. But then when I looked at the wood, I'm using a half log, I realized I got all this space over here. Why don't I just throw that arm out since he's holding fish? So I changed it up. I moved it over, instead of his hand in front, I moved it extending out. And now he can hold those fish up. He's real proud of the fish, so he's going to hold those up like this. Let's take a look at proportions here for just a second. The things that I like to do bears that are natural looking as much as possible, and so some of the things I've learned is, and we'll take a look at this when we get on the log. Show the back of the skull. One thing is when you're positioning the head, and you usually start with the head. I do. You want to put that nose as far forward as possible in the log. Reason why is because then you can extend that head forward, and then that neck can go back at an angle, which gives it a more natural look. Instead of being straight up and down, it looks very stiff that way. Here we want an angle to that neck, and then it comes out, bumps out on the shoulder blades, and then that looks more natural, muscle wise, and then that visually connects to the elbow here. And then right underneath the elbow here, I just put a little bit of if there's enough wood, bump out that butt, that lower back part a little bit. And then the other thing about bears is they have short legs. So you don't want to put long legs on a bear. Keep them nice and short. From the frontal view, you should see just a little teeny negative space. And the arms, you want to imagine if the arms were hanging straight down, the wrist would be hanging out past the halfway point of the body, Get that wrist down, maybe like right in here, imagine it. So that's how you can determine the length of the arm. Keep that wrist about right in here, maybe a third, just above see, here's a third line. This thing's 3 feet, so just above the third mark would be a natural way to do it. Let's take a look at the log now. We're using white pine today. This is 3 feet tall. It's 28 inches wide, and it's about a little over a foot thick. And the reason why I'm using a half of a log is for the purposes of minimizing checking and splitting. So, and the reason why, what we try to do is you get rid of that center piece, the pith or the heart of that log. Get rid of that and get the carving over in this area, and you'll minimize checking happening. One of the reasons checking happens is because the center is harder, so it's not drying as fast as the softer sap wood out here, and so now you get this pressure happening, you get these checks happening. So get rid of the center of the log. That helps drying, and it helps alleviate some checking. Okay, you could see that I drew a center mark in the log. You could see that I started with a circle, and this is how I help envision the bear. So I start with a circle, and the halfway mark here on the circle, I put the ears right behind that halfway mark. And this happens to be a 6-inch circle, so it's 3 inches for halfway. You take that halfway length, so 3 inches, and then that should be your snout. And that usually gives a pretty good natural look to the proportions of things. I like to angle the ears a little bit, and I like to have them hanging off, half on, half off. So that's that. You can see the body here. I drew a circle for the body, and then the arms are just hanging right off of that. So that's how it's going to look. The next step here is to start cutting. So I know there's nothing on this side of the log. I can go ahead and remove that piece. Over here, I'll just draw in the arm here and just cut underneath, remove all the big chunks. And I'm using a normal saw to do that. Looks like this. Just an 18-inch bar. And I'm going to go ahead and start cutting. Okay, here's an example of what I'm talking about checking. This is a piece where I had to do the whole log. Sometimes you have to do that. And so you can see, look at the checking starts right at that center part of the log and goes out from there. So that's why you want to try to get rid of it. So in this piece, what I'll do is when I'm all finished with it, I'll just take some wood filler and just fill that in to try to keep water from going in there. But I use a wood preservative. I soak it with wood preservative, so that'll help it stay protected. Here's a little tip on preserving the sharpness of your chain. I could go ahead and cut from this direction, but what's going to happen is that chain's going to come around and pull through, and this side of the log is full of dirt. Okay, so what's going to happen is, that chain's going to come through, grab that dirt, and just dull down the chain. So whenever you have clean, fresh wood like this, that's the side you want to pull through. So I'm cutting on this side, and I'm letting that chain pull through clean wood, and that's preserving the sharpness of my chain. Alright, now I'm going to switch over to my quarter tip bar. Here you can see I've blocked out the basic shape. It's called a quarter tip bar because it's the radius of a quarter at the tip, and it uses quarter pitch chain with a quarter pitch sprocket. And you can buy these at Baileys.com or some other places. Let's take a look. I'm going to start right here on the top. Okay, I'm going to put a line right here, right where the beginning of this here is, and the beginning of this one. Cut down, and then cut at an angle, and I'll pull those pieces out. The point here is I'm trying to drop just the center top. Okay, drop it down like an inch or more, inch and a half maybe. Drop that first, and then I'm going to cut in the front of that ear, in front of that ear, and then start sloping it forward. And same thing here, start sloping behind. So what's happening is it's revealing the ears first. Do the ears first. Alright, let's take a look at where we're at now. We drop this center part in here, and then we cut in front of the ears. And starting at the depth of the top here, it's going to round over. So when you're cutting in front of the ears, you know that this is rounding down. Okay. Also, what did we do? We took the back of the circle. Remember this original circle we drew? We went to the back of that circle and sloped that back. And then we went to the front of the snout, and we lined up the edge of the snout to the ear. And we said, alright, let's go ahead and whack that off. I know I'm not going to need that on both sides. So next step here is these chunks here. Let's get rid of this. We're going to basically take this and round it to the left, round it to the right. And the circle right here, where this is, see that? This is the part where the forehead comes down and meets the snout. So we're going to drop that down too. So starting at the crest here, which is basically right where the ears are, we're going to slope down, go straight down, and then angle down even more for the snout.